innovative and creative actions. That's for you.
Okay, welcome to the debate for beginners. My name is Yoko Ishikura, and I am now trying to host this session. At the beginning is that I would go over the slides very quickly to explain what debate is and how we prepare and what are the kind of topics that we could try. What is debate? Debate is a structured contest over an issue or policy. So we usually have a statement, and I'll explain what the statement is. But it could be an issue or the policy. Policy meaning that, for example, at today's case, emergency declaration should stay. That would be the policy kind of statement. And we will have two sides, affirmative and negative. An affirmative group supports the issue or the statement. Negative side opposes. So if we say declaration of emergency should stay, that is the statement. Affirmative side should find the reason why the emergency declaration should stay. And the negative side should prepare the argument that it should not stay. It should be stopped. So that's how it goes. And what are the kind of things can we learn from or get from the debate? Because I think debate is a very good way of learning a lot of things. One of them is logical thinking, because you have to argue. You're given the position, so you do have a stand or the position, and you have to figure out the reasons to support that particular statement, either affirmative or negative. And you really need to be quite persuasive, because the other side is going to go against your argument. And this will be a very good practice for public speaking. And today, I don't think we're not going to have time to prepare as a group. So you're going to just kind of do the instantaneously. But when we do the full swing or the full debate, which we plan to do in a few weeks, then you usually do have a preparation time. So the group team can get together and figure out the argument. And you can even practice how to argue. And the last but not least, I think one of the things which you can learn from debate, by far the best thing is that you can think on the spot. In other words, you don't expect, you are not quite sure how the other side will argue. So you have to argue back or refute or rebut. And in order to do that, you have to think on the spot. And there are many variety of ways to try debate. And one of them is the official debate. For example, Boris Johnson and the leader of the Labour Party was debating the other day. And since they are sort of locked down, they did not have too many other members. So just two of them were debating back and forth. So this is a very typical of the debate. So if you get a chance, you can check the British Parliament debate and see how it goes. And another good example is the US presidential debate. So by November, when the election is going to be held, we are going to have several rounds of debate between the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. And it looks like that Joe Biden is going to be a nominee for the Democratic Party. And I'm pretty sure that Trump is going to be the nominee for the Republican. So that means that Joe Biden and Donald Trump is going to debate. And they argue that they are, each one is the better choice for the president. And that is a very typical debate. And so you have quite a bit of time to see how the debate is done. And in addition to these sort of official debate, we have some debating competition. Sometimes universities or high schools are organizing. And some of you may have had some experiences. And another use of debate, which I think is a very good idea, is that I remember that quite a while ago, probably some companies still do, when they are faced with the big decision for the investment, for example, to build the factory at certain places, they use debating form to argue, to make a decision. And the reason is because if affirmative side and negative side show up and make an argument, either for the investment or against the investment, all the factors are going to be discussed and revealed. So that is a very good example of a company use. And at one point, I tried with the executive ed program of the Japanese company with the global operations. We tried the debate, and the statement was the headquarters of this company should be located in Japan. So the affirmative side should argue that it should stay in Japan. And the negative side says, or should argue that it should not be located in Japan. And you can think of all sorts of reasons why and why not. So that's another interesting way of using it. And you can also use the sort of casually by the group of friends. For example, if you're trying to figure out where to go for vacation or for the camp, you can use the form of debate. And I personally think that you can use debating form to make a decision. For example, if you are faced with the decision, you should change the job or not, you can argue both ways. So you can play both affirmative side as well as negative side. And that way, all the factors to make a choice will be revealed. And we tend to sort of jump to the conclusion. So in order not to jump to the conclusion without good analysis of all the reasons, debate is a very good idea. And the topic is usually the statement or policy or idea. And it could be a statement or the question. So for example, mobile phones should be banned until a certain age, until you hit like 15 years of age or something like that. But it can be described as should mobile phones be banned until a certain age. And I think what I have picked up 4 examples of the topics. And the first one is everybody should be vegetarian. So if you are assigned to the affirmative side, you have to argue everybody should be vegetarian. And if you are on the negative side, you should oppose to this statement. And the second one is technology makes us more lonely. And if you are negative side, you should argue that technology does not make us more lonely. And the third one is college degree is essential for getting a good job. If you are on the affirmative side, you should argue that you need a college degree to get a good job. And negative side, you can argue that you don't need college degree. And the last one, last but not least, is another topic example. And this is related to the hiring of the companies. And the companies should be required to hire 50% male and 50% female. That's the statement. So you can argue either yes or no, affirmative or the negative side. Let me just talk a little bit about the process. So one of the basic rules is that teams alternate. Affirmative side goes first, negative follows, then go back to affirmative side and negative. Depending upon how many times we go back and forth, we can continue this. But for today, I've divided into 3 parts. And the part 1 is affirmative side gives argument to support the statement. And the negative side makes an argument to oppose the statement. The second part, rather than going through the affirmative and negative, making an argument, I wanted to make it a little bit more open and questions and rebuttal from both sides taking turns. So it's not structured as much. And the part 3 is summary from the negative and the affirmative. So in part 3, in about 3 minutes, negative side should summarize their argument and the affirmative side will follow that. So what are the roles of the speakers? Part 1, affirmative side sets the tone of the debate. And it is very important to define the terms of the statement. For example, I said everybody should be vegetarian earlier on. Then affirmative side has a responsibility and freedom to define the term. Everybody means what? Everybody means every single person, which means 0 years of age all the way to 100 years of age or whatever. Or you can define everybody as those who are from 15 to 65 or something like that. And vegetarian, what do you mean by vegetarian? So vegetarian, there are quite a few different kinds of vegetarian. So you can define. And the affirmative side has that advantage of defining the terms. But if affirmative side doesn't define, then the negative side can do whatever they want to. I really would like to emphasize that the definition of each term is extremely important. And after that, the affirmative side gives a few arguments to support the statement. And we take about 5 minutes or so. And negative side, it is followed by negative side, and negative side can challenge the definition. If they don't like the definition that is made by the affirmative side, they can challenge it. But you'd better have some good rationale to challenge the definition. And after that, negative side refutes the argument by the affirmative side, taking about 5 minutes, which means that the negative side should come up with the reasons why they oppose, and taking the advantage, taking the statements or the argument made by the affirmative side. Part 2, as I mentioned, it's going to be much more casual or informal, and discussion and rebuttal from both sides. And I've assigned 10 minutes for that. So the affirmative side rebuts the negative side arguments, and they can give arguments supporting the statement. The negative side does the same thing against the affirmative side. The last one is the summary speech, each 3 minutes each, but this time the negative side goes first, and it's followed by the affirmative side. And after the summary, each group can do the debriefing and what are the takeaways. So that's about 5 minutes, and I think we have 6, 8, 11, 10 minutes, 20 minutes. So it's altogether about 35 minutes or so for one round. And you might ask how to construct the argument. You have to present the argument in a clear statement and just give one reason why you support or oppose the statement. don't think about too many things. You can give more, but just the general rule is just give one reason and give evidence for that. And if you have more time, you can give another reason and the evidence. But if you just say, okay, we support this statement, but if you don't give any evidence, then you're in a little bit of trouble. And what are the tips and questions? Speak clearly. And I show the couple of pictures. The top one is Boris Johnson, the leader of the Labour Party, who just did the debate. And the second one down at the bottom is from the presidential election in 2016. That is Hillary on the right-hand side and Donald Trump on the left-hand side. So because they are the nominees of each party, they had quite a few debates. But anyway, it's very important to speak clearly, and you might want to emphasize the words that you really would like to get attention. And I really do not like complicated words. Use the simple language and simple words. And that's about all I wanted to say. And so it's not too much, but I just went through the rather quickly.